Hello. How's it going, everybody? Happy, well, on my end in the central time zone, happy Sunday morning. To those on the Cannon time zone, it's closer to 1 o'clock on your end. So in North Wilkesboro, I believe it's 1 o'clock. But welcome in, everybody. If you can't tell, I am just a tad bit tired, but we got up early. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna talk all about this truck race, as well as some of the drama that I believe Fox did not cover in this race, because as we talked about on NWP last week, there's a lot of stuff these broadcasts just miss. And by the way, no, I do not have a TikTok. If you see someone with my logo on TikTok, it is a fake that's been stealing my videos. So do not follow anyone on there. But I'm going to go with Mark in this one in the chat here. Spam 1 for Butterbean in the chat. We're going to put that in right away. Amazing run on his end. We will talk a bit about him in a moment. Brendan Queen. But let's talk about the 2024 Wright Brand 250. This race... This race officially is an hour, 53 minutes, and 2 seconds, though the red flag was 21 hours, 6 minutes, and 14 seconds. So when you add it all up, this race was actually 22 hours, 59 minutes, and 16 seconds when you count the red flag. Bob put the red flag on there, red flag time. So 22 hours, 59 minutes, and 16 seconds. 24 hours ago, we were all probably sitting down getting ready to watch this race on its scheduled time. Or like me, I was getting ready to go live. Thank you to Reverend Rasheem Hall Stewart for the 2. What do you think about Larson at Indianapolis? I will get to that. I promise you I will. We're gonna go in the order of time on this one, chronological order and everything. How long was the 2020 Texas race? Too damn long. We had an NWP post-race show because it was Wednesday. I watched that race in multiple places over multiple days. But this race officially 1 hour, 53 minutes, 2 seconds, 22. Again, I'm doing my math right, correct? 22 hours, 59 minutes, 16 seconds in total. There were 7 lead changes among 6 leaders with 7 cautions over 250 laps. It was Heim time. Good job, chat. Winning by 2.5 seconds over Grant Enfinger in second. Lane Riggs third. Brendan Queen, old Butterbean, in fourth, which NASCAR made him take that down because it wasn't officially his last name on there. But yet they'll let Dale Jr. just have Dale Jr. and not Earnhardt or Earnhardt Jr. I'm just saying, it's funny how they play fast and loose with rules when it's their favorites. Sammy's, and I'm a Junior fan saying this, as the hat should say. Sammy Smith with a 5th place finish on the day. Then you got Eckes in 6th, Sanchez 7th, Ankrum 8th, 9th, Daniel Dye. Michael Waltrip will never let you forget that Daniel Dye got a top 10 today. Stuart Friesen in 10th. Ty Majeski in 11th, Wood, Taylor Gray, Carruth, and Chastain, your top 15. Tanner Gray, 16th, Parsons, 17th, Mills, 18th, Curry, and Crafton round out the top 20. Jake Garcia in 21st, 22nd, Ben Rhodes, Mason Massey with a 23rd on the day, Purdy in 24th, Ty Dillon in 25th, and Timmy Hill in 26th. Lead lap finish. I want you guys in the chat right now, before we have everyone spam for Butterbean, spam Timmy in the hill, or Timmy. To spam that in there for a lead lap finish today for Timmy Hill in the 26th position. And then the rest of the field is as followed. Dean Thompson finished 1 lap down in 27th. Dawson Sutton with, I believe, his first Truck Series start today in 28th, 2 laps down. If you're a regular at the Nashville Fairgrounds, you will recognize the name Dawson Sutton. And I don't think this is the last that we're going to see of him. Brett Holmes in 29th. Lawless Allen in 30th. Thad Moffitt 31st, 5 down. By the way, Holmes is 3 down, Sutton 2 down, Allen 4 down, 5 down for Thad Moffitt. as well as 32nd place Spencer Boyd, Josh Raum in 33rd, Clayton Green 34th, and then 2 guys out of this race, Connor Jones in 35th and Trey Hutchins in 36th. Now, I'm going to let you know right now, when we get to the final stage talking about that, there is some spicy radio drama. There's some spicy radio drama on the Connor Jones front. NASCAR did not explain in any way why he basically was called to the hauler, or at least Fox didn't. I'm seeing if there's something, but I don't think there is. Yeah, I don't see anything on my end for why he was called to the hauler, but he was. But that is it. And yes, spam Butterbean in the chat too while we're at it. I'll put it in there too. Let's spam that up. Let's just have a happy All-Star Sunday. While we're at it, post-race results will be above me here. Let me know, because I've been on a bad streak of here's a issue I had. Sammy Smith, I messed that one up. But let me know if I spelled anybody's name wrong. I've been on a bad streak of doing that lately. So if you missed the race, here are your results. See where your favorite finished, or where your pick finished, or whoever. Tonight will be live after the All-Star race, as well as on Wednesday on this channel for NWP with David Land. We will talk about Kyle Larson as well. Let's go in order of what happened in this race. Qualifying rained out. Rain would be a major factor in this entire race. 24-hour? I don't even know what we're going to call it. Race whatever. But Eckes would be on the pole. Rain in the area all day. He would get an early lead. And I'll say this. To start out, there was really good 2 and 3 and sometimes 4 wide racing throughout the pack in this race. So with that, I got to say, if the Cup race has good racing with this new tire compound, and even Denny Hamlin likes it tonight with the new compound they made, they might have hit on something. With this track, this repave, hopefully it lasts. We've had some problems with SMI over the last few decades when it comes to resurfacing and repaving and re-everythinging tracks. But so far, so good. I thought the overall racing was really good. I want to know, out of 10 being the best racing you've ever seen in your life, nothing will ever top it. 0 or 1 being just dog water crap. What did you think of the racing? Not just the overall race. I want to know, what did you think of the racing product? Because I thought it was solid. I mean, it was difficult to pass. Tires probably could have mattered a bit more. But all things considered, I did not think it was awful. There was a lot of passing. I mean, Butterbean passed, 66 trucks today? Majeski went from restarting at 1.27th through the final 2 runs there up to battling for a top 10. I personally thought it was solid. I'm seeing 7s, 8s, and some 3s and 4s. Brandon Davis here saying the racing sucked in trucks. I disagree, but to each their own. But I personally think that when it comes to repaves, it's difficult to have really good racing. I'll disagree with Michael Waltrip in saying this racing was better than last year. I wouldn't say that. I was there last year. It was much better. Probably also because there was a lot better drivers. But I do have hope. Oh, I have Cindric in 20th? Of course. So for those who want a little behind the scenes here for how I do this, it's the same ticker. So I have the previous results in. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know on that big hat. But yeah, I use the same ticker with just changing the names in and out. So appreciate it. There's always one I mess up on. Now, rain would cause the first caution at lap 58. Luckily, we got the vortex going. So we were able to keep going for a little bit after a restart with Majeski winning the first stage over Rhodes, Raja, Taylor Gray, Heim, Ty Dillon, Eckes, Tanner Gray, Jack Wood, and Ankrum. And then as this stage ends, this is where Kyle Larson, we'll talk a little bit about Larson here. Kyle Larson qualified his way into the Indianapolis 500, 6th fastest on the day. I am excited. Now, that's probably not, I'm going to let the chat rain down on me on this one, especially if Larson makes it to that final round going for the pole. I did pick Larson tonight. If Larson is below 6th today, he'll be fine. If he is qualifying for the pole, and especially if he gets the pole, I do not think he's making it in 2 hours, flying to an airport in Indianapolis, flying down to Charlotte, then flying or driving to, probably flying to Wilkesboro. It's going to be close. But if anyone can do it and win tonight, it's Kyle Larson. And I know a lot of people are probably sick of hearing about Kyle Larson, but it's such a big deal for somebody to do the double. I mean, I remember when Kurt Busch did it, and he was damn close to finishing top 10 in both, had his engine not went away at Charlotte. But, I mean, it's a big deal. It is a really big deal. Evan in the chat, Texas in 2020 was 76 hours, 10 minutes, and 48 seconds. Damn. Yeah, Tony Stewart did it, but Tony Stewart, I think, was the only one to complete every lap in it. I think that's the distinction. There's only, I did a video a while back, but I believe there's only 4 or 5, including Larson now, who have attempted the double. And to be in 2 of the most prestigious races in America on the same day, running 1,100 miles. In NASCAR's case, you might run a little more than 1,100 miles on the day because of green-white checkers, too. Hats off to anyone who wants to try it, and hats off to Larson for being so damn good in the IndyCar side. I don't know if he'll win, but I do think that Larson will be somebody up in the top 10 in a lot of the day at Indy, and he could definitely win the 600. I'll tell you this. I would definitely, if you're able to do a parlay on Indy 500 and Coke 600 on Larson winning, give it a shot. Just put $5 down on it, because I believe the odds would be so damn big. For a win on that would be so big. You'd probably get a good amount of money out of it. But I am excited for next Sunday. This time next Sunday, we would probably be getting ready to watch it. I don't know. I know it says 11:45 on the website, but I know there's like the pre-race and all that. I'll ask you this. If Larson wins at Indy, do you want me to go live? I want to know that right now. Just a yes or no. If Larson wins at Indy, do you want me to go live after? Because if he actually won, that might be the biggest motorsports story of the decade. Because I'm willing to. Again, my knowledge of IndyCar, I will admit, is a very casual knowledge. I try to watch when I can. So understand that I will not be great at breaking everything down. It'll be a very Larson-centric episode. But I'll see. You know what? I'll even try and get some guests on. I know a few people at the track, and I know a few people who will be watching on the NASCAR side. We'll I think we'll have a really damn fun stream. I think we can get some people on that'll be a lot of fun. I'm not going to say we're going to anyone like Kyle Larson on or anything. That's going to be impossible after Indy. He'll probably be like, drink milk, do the interview, get the hell out after the pictures. But yeah, I'll do it. I mean, you guys are speaking loud and clear. I can't wait. I'm excited, man. Let's get back to the trucks here, though. We can talk all about Larson tonight and on Wednesday on my channel on NWP. Subscribe if you're new. We do this after every race, and the live streaming part of the channel has really grown a lot, and I appreciate all of you guys for sticking around on me on it. There was, of course, a lightning delay with the red flag. It was originally moved to FS2, then the rains came, and we moved it to Sunday. Numerous trucks were underwater. I can't remember. I think it was one of the members of the Spire team was actually diving off the pit wall, doing cannonballs and jumping into the water because the water was actually over the pit wall. They said there was a drain that was clogged, which is kind of funny to me because it's like, man, you know, do we only have one drain at Wilkesboro? Like, we did all this renovation, we couldn't like add a proper drainage system. I know it's probably more than that and everything like all that, but it is kind of funny to be like, we had a clogged drain. There wasn't another. You couldn't unclog it. Is it? Again, I'm probably dumbing it down way too damn much, but it is kind of funny in hindsight. So we stop. We wait a long ass time, and we come back here today for on lap 87. We get back racing. It's Majeski and Caruth leading us back off. They battle for the lead a little bit, but Raja ends up spinning in that. So, of course, get back to it. I'd say Ty Majeski, with the tire strategy he pulled off, was probably the more dominant truck of the day in the middle. Not like it really mattered after a little bit. Of course, there's another yellow with Lawless Allen spinning, and that's when Majeski pit. And Majeski basically went MIA the rest of the race. You had guys like Nick Sanchez, for instance, who got a restart violation. Sanchez, looking down the order, was able to recover to a 7th place finish after that, so good points day on his end. Ankrum, of course, had the lead for a little bit. We get to the other side here, and he wins the stage over Garcia, which is funny because I believe one of the announcers accidentally called Jake Garcia Jeff Garcia, who was the old quarterback from the 2000s. I found that funny. I was like, Jeff Garcia's here? But he was not. It was Jake Garcia with a very solid race, 2nd position in stage 2 over Friesen, Wood, and Riggs, the top 5. Funny thing about Lane Riggs that kind of is cool after last night for me. While I was running, I put on the 2005 Daytona 500. I was just running on the treadmill. And they actually did a small little spot during that race talking about Scott Riggs and his 3-year-old son, Lane. And it just kind of dawned on me that, you know, toddlers and kids that had just been born when I had started watching NASCAR, are now racing in the top levels of NASCAR and top 5 drivers in NASCAR. Lane Riggs on the day with a 3rd place finish today. So it's just a crazy kind of weird thing to pop up right before I watch this race, where Lane Riggs probably had his best truck run maybe ever, probably definitely since last year. Rhodes 6th in the stage, Eckes 7th, Heim 8th, 9th was Enfinger, and Daniel Dye 10th. Michael Waltrip, again, will never let you forget. James, thank you for the 5. I'm not a Larson fan, but during the 500, I'll be cheering for him to win. Yeah, I try, and again, I fail a lot, but I try to stay impartial on this channel. I don't have a favorite anymore the way I did with like Dale Jr. Like, yeah, the McDowell thing, but let's not act like, you know, I'm jumping for joy every time Michael McDowell makes a pass for like 12th or something. It's like, oh, cool, you know. I like the underdog side of it. But I am going to be a full-on Kyle Larson fan. I mean, I think you got the entirety of NASCAR Nation behind him. You got the hype build up, you know, all the way back to when Robin Miller was hyping him up. So I cannot wait to see. I'm so excited to see this. Now we get back, restarted lap 147. Garcia runs off with the lead for a bit. And we get our bit of drama that we would never get followed up here. On lap 177, Connor Jones would go around and he would bring it to the pits. They would then announce that he was being called to the NASCAR hauler. Never got followed up on. It might have been, it might have been something he said over the radio. It might have been an action of pulling up in front of trucks on track. I don't know. It will become one of the mysteries of the world because Fox never followed up on it. I mean, when I had to go on Twitter and find out, like, from Bob what exactly was going on, and not even he knows at that point. Like, I get it's a little unclear and all that, but what are we doing? How do we not know when somebody gets called to the hauler what the hell it is? It's just frustrating. But we can go on a rant about Fox another time. Man, I'm just looking at the reception that Butterbean got today, and I love it. I love seeing somebody who worked his way up, clawed his way up, getting this chance. Wasn't DVP, because this is where the drama comes in. Connor Jones basically just parked it. Not that he was parked. From what it sounds like, he just parked it. Just said, because I guess there was no power steering. And so Jones said over the radio, I can't run it without power steering. We're done. And I believe it was a crew member or one of his crew or his crew chief or one of his crew members. This is according to Toby Christie said, or you could be a man. I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't be laughing at a driver like that or all, but hearing a driver over the radio where the entire world can hear get called out by his crew is so damn funny to me. I would love to know what the follow-up to that is, because Connor Jones can be a hothead over the radio. And this is no hate given to him. You know, to each their own as a driver. But it's pretty damn funny, man. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Like, how old is he's like what, 16? So I get he's younger, and he probably never has driven a car without power steering. He's 18. Okay, he's 18. God, he's born in 2006. Jesus. I've driven a car without power steering before. It sucks. It really sucks. But if you're a professional race car driver, you probably gotta just power through that. Unless there was something else wrong with the truck. At that point, then okay, I get it. But I just love that. Or you could be a man. Damn, that's brutal, man. That's freaking brutal. It wasn't DVP. They claimed it was DVP, but what damage really was there? From what it sounded like, from the reports, he basically pulled it off. Like, that's basically what happened. He just said, I can't drive it like this. And yes, my fiance's in the chat. You've also driven one with no brakes. Yeah, funny story on that one. Funny story I will tell another time. That is definitely a story I need to tell when there's like 2,000 people in here. But yes, one of the first times I drove a car with my now fiance, the brakes went to the floor, and we were going pretty fast because it was a nice car. But yeah, the brakes just went to the floor, and my life flashed before my eyes. It wasn't my car. That's the funny part. It wasn't my car either. So it's like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. But I will definitely tell that story at some point. I'm gonna write it down right now. But thank you for bringing that up, Riss. Thank you. So I've driven a car with no power steering, driven a car with no brakes. What else have I driven? I know I've driven a car without something else at one point. I mean, I remember I drove a go-kart, and I found out after I pulled it in that like the rear end of it basically was falling out. There were pieces falling out behind me, and I was wondering why I was so damn loose. I'm not some great driver or anything. I'm just adequate. But Iris, thank you for being in there in the chat. Back to the race here. Last little bit of the race. Queen Butterbean was the biggest story. You had Heim running off with it. Dean Thompson had a not so uncommon spin. But Brendan Queen was the main story of this race. And again, it's one of those classic NASCAR stories where somebody who is just a normal guy who managed to continue to just find ways to stay in racing and keep going. It's one of those stories you don't see as much anymore. It's why we like the Ross Chastain story of a watermelon farmer becoming a NASCAR driver. It's why you look in the past and a lot of the old drivers from the 60s, 70s, 80s are still remembered by fans so much because they came from those humble beginnings and came up through. And for a Cars Tour guy, this is a huge win for all the drivers of the Cars Tour. I saw Landon Huffman really putting his support behind him, and I love the amount of support that he had at the track as well. I hope we see more opportunities in the future from him. Especially start out the short tracks and keep it in his wheelhouse to start out with. But it's a great story, and I want to see where it goes from here. These are the stories that make NASCAR fans, the ones that make fans of drivers quickly. And you can see it from, guys at the lower levels, all, at just the local short track level, all the way up to guys, in the past, like Richard Petty or Dale Earnhardt, guys that are all-time greats who are just normal people doing extraordinary things, as Ken Squire so amazingly said so many times. And it's a statement that still holds true. I don't want to try and get too philosophical on it or anything and read too deep in it, but I love seeing these kind of things, and you don't see it as much in the era of pay drivers and of nepotism. It's so refreshing to see raw talent be rewarded. So I'm gonna see in the chat, he's on Door Bumper Clear. I love seeing that. Common men doing uncommon things. That's the exact quote, I believe, from Milton. So thank you. Odin in here says he's local to me. I remember seeing him run as a kid. Really cool to see him finally get a shot. And those moments are awesome. I mean, as somebody from the Rockford, Illinois area growing up, I hated seeing Jimmy Johnson win all the time as a junior fan, but seeing Chad Canales, a Rockford native who raced at the track I lived less than a mile from and helped make track championship winning cars there, work his way up to the absolute top of American motorsports. It's just, it sticks with you. Like, even if you're not a true fan of them, you still have that connection with them. And it's such an uncommon thing in professional sports. I mean, yeah, you got stories like that in basketball and football, but how many times do you hear of like entire fan bases being built around someone as a local fan base because of, where they came from like that? I love it. I love it. But that's just me. Again, I'm gonna keep going off on this forever. If I continue to stay live on this, I will let you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday afternoon. I'm going to go enjoy mine, and I will see you tonight. We will watch the All-Star race, have a lot of fun, and I don't know, man. I have a feeling something tonight's going to be really, really memorable, especially after how crappy last year's race was. I was there. It was an amazing experience. It was a crappy race. Race didn't ruin it for me, though. But I have a feeling this year is going to be better. So thank you guys so much for coming on in. It was a ton of fun. Surprised how many of you guys came out to watch, and I can't wait to see you tonight. So until then, have a good one. Later, y'all.